So let me start again. It's really lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for joining. This is our live Q&A, and my name is Priya, a consultant working here at Teach2030 and CET. And I'm not joined by myself today. I've got one of our lovely ambassadors today from India, and her name is Shibangi, and we're really, really happy and delighted to have her with us today to share a little bit more about some of the questions that we get through from teachers within our community as well, and how to support them. And that's a whole big part of our community, is to support each other and provide also some of our practice and our expertise in the classroom, and how best we can solve some of those as well. So just so that you are aware, if you do have a question, we would love for you to have a question. You can pop a question into either the comment box, so feel free to do that, and I'm going to be checking between Zoom and between Facebook as well. So feel free to add a comment in and I will check them, and then definitely we'll answer the question. If we can't answer the question today, most definitely we'll answer the question next time. But this will be our final live Q&A this year as we head on into 2023 as well. But I hope that you're having a lovely day. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Shibangi. Thank you again for joining us. And maybe you can just give us a couple of moments of that and tell us, share a little bit about yourself, Shibangi.
Thank you so much for calling me. And my name is Shubhangi. I'm from India. I'm a school teacher and I teach German language. I'm also a teacher trainer and curriculum designer. And yeah, that's all. I have completed my social emotional learning mentorship, and I have also created sustainable development curriculum for school students and for teachers. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing a little bit more about, the range of your expertise as well there as well, Shibangi. Now, as you are aware, we do get questions that come in. So Shibangi, using your practice, your expertise as well, and of course, you're going through the Teach23 courses, you've now built up a lot of knowledge in certain areas as well. And so the first question that we got sent through today, well, not today, actually, a few days ago, was this one too. And wondered if you could shed some light, and maybe for some of you listening in would also probably have this as well within your classroom space. It says this, it says, my class meets the expectations. Most of the times, I mean, to be honest, they are punctual, they listen well, they are actively engaged. When I assign a task to them, they generally cooperate and they do what they're meant to do as well. But for me, as a teacher, as a practitioner, how can I go that extra mile and move students to that next level? What would you probably say for that? So this question is about moving those students on to really stretch, maybe challenge, maybe to think about how they can move them on to the next level. What would you say for that, Shibangi?
Yes, first of all, I would like to congratulate the teacher. She has a wonderful, the teacher has a wonderful students. And I'm so happy, that teacher is so much keen to, train the students to be more with them, to do so much to help them for their education. I would really like to suggest the teacher that the teacher could, do some partnership with the schools, with the neighborhood schools, or maybe she can also take the help from, mentor with each of us mentors, to have more partnership with the subjects. Maybe the subject, respective subject she teach. So they can have, exchange, the classroom exchange with each other as a virtual. So that's going to really help students to get to know more about other schools also. They are not only within their school, because of the online, we can go anywhere, we can, have meet and chat with anyone. So let's have a virtual, she can start virtual classes for her students. It is going to be very useful for her learning and for the students learning as well. And I can also suggest, that she can also plan some research work for the students. Maybe students are really keen to know some, know about any topic, any new topic. or maybe they would like to go and just discuss in front of the class. So she can just plan the project work or research work for the students, and they can come up with their own work. And it's also going to implement so much, it will also encourage their confidence that they are now expertise. They can show their own expertise in front of the class. So this is what I can suggest the teacher. She can, I mean, the teacher can implement with their with the student.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that, Shivangi. I think you've mentioned two really valuable points there. So, yes, I think now that we can support each other through our network, even within our ambassadors network or within the teacher network as well, and find maybe another teacher who teaches a similar subject and find out how they approach it as well, and how they approach their lessons as well, and certain topics and things as well, to communicate and share ideas. And the second one is research work. And I think that's really valuable because it does, as you say, make those students in that classroom almost an expert in that particular role or that particular you're guiding those students about that's what you want them to cover, and then they can share that. What's the best way that you can share some of that information as well? How could you probably share some of that information too? How would you probably suggest that in a classroom too?
For the research work, you want to
Yeah.
ask, okay, like if I talk about my subject, the language, German language, you
Hmm.
know the language is all about the culture, to know more about the country. I always give my students to I just give them the city's name, just search about Berlin, just go and search about Leipzig and Munich. There's so many places in Germany, find out the culture. So they come up with their own research work and they just present. This is what they have get to know. And the best part is I always encourage them to speak in German. No use of English, only German. So it's more challenging for them, and brainstorming also, that they are researching and they're converting everything into their with their own skills, what the skills they have, with their own vocabulary and grammar, and they're presenting in front of the class. So this is how I do small activities with my students. If I talk about history classes or geography classes, there is so much to do, you know like we can also research, students can research about the history of this, of their respective city, or maybe a school history also, or any type of world history. So I'm talking about history because history is one of my favorite subjects. So this could be, we can also do maths also, science also. So much research work can be done.
Brilliant. I think you've got some really great ideas. And also, you've kind of exemplified them with certain subjects as well and linked them to certain subjects, which is really, really great. And, the value of research work, but also providing kind of a bit more guidance as to what they need to research is always really valuable. So then students know what they need to find out, but also presenting that can really help boost their confidence. Thank you for presenting that and sharing that. Shabangi, here's another question that came up recently as well. And it suggests the following. It says, how should I respond as a teacher in a classroom if a child gets an answer wrong or incorrectly? What's the best way to kind of challenge or speak to a pupil about that?
Yeah, it's a very common thing happen in the class, and the teachers, we are always working on it. What I understand is many a times it happens that child hasn't understood, a student hasn't understood the question. So teacher needs to be more patient in that time, and the teacher needs to ask, did you understood the question? Do you need any assistance? Do you want me to repeat the question again? Or maybe she can turn and just turn the question and ask again, and give the students one more chance to speak, to give the answer what the child has understood. Maybe this could also help. And another way, that what I feel as a student, when we were children, when we were small and we were in school, we always hesitant, always feel hesitant to give any answer, because we feel, oh, okay, if I will be wrong, then everyone is going to laugh on me, and what the teachers are going to think about me. So teachers needs to build up a rapport that, okay, I'm listening with the hearing, with the listening ears. And she should always take care, the teacher should always take care of that. This child should not feel embarrassed, you know. So, first of all, the rapport should be also there. And she should always give the chance. And she should also always talk, okay, that's fine. I believe that you may be right, but I think that this could be, the answer could be in this way. Or maybe the answer could be, we can say this thing in this way. So, there is a way of talking also, way of telling also, you're conveying your own things. So this is what I feel is, teachers should also work upon in the classroom behavior. The children should also be cooperative with each other and should be acceptable. If you're wrong, it's accepted, it's okay.
Yeah.
We all can speak wrong, we all can be wrong in a certain way, and that's fine. We are here to correct each other. So I
I,
think classroom and teacher rapport is very much important.
I think you mentioned a really good point there, actually. Classroom rapport is really important to develop and build that relationship in that classroom where um, you don't feel shy about speaking up, even if the question is wrong as well, because it provides some confidence in the first place to contribute in class as well. And I think what you've offered there is really, really valuable. And it does take time to get to that stage as well. And I think continue to support those pupils as well. And I think that sometimes the dialogue that you're talking about is really important. So one of the points I would sometimes mention is, when a pupil says an answer and that they haven't got it correct, or it's not quite aligned with what is expected for the answer, you can still say thank you for offering that particular question. It's a really good attempt, but maybe you can facilitate a conversation or a question to help guide them and lead them to that right question as well, rather than saying, as you had mentioned, it's incorrect and then move on to somebody else in the class as well. And I think we would probably both agree, even with my former teacher background, but even as your current teacher background, Shibangi, as anyone else listening in as well, classroom spaces are very fast-paced spaces, and it's about taking just a moment when you're having those question and answers from pupils as well, and offering support where you can, but just taking a moment just to think about what response you give as a teacher as well. But thank you so much for your guidance there, Shibangi. Now I'm just checking, I haven't received any questions at the moment as well, but there might be some that might come in on the recorded version later on as well. So if you do have a question, feel free to write and comment any of your particular questions in the boxes below as well. We would really appreciate any of your comments, and definitely get back to you as well with our next Q&A, which will be next year now in January. Just to let you know though, we have a workshop next week. Things are a little bit earlier this month, as is the final month of the year. That's next week on the 14th, and that's again with one of our ambassadors, and we're going to be looking at a practical technique called Stretch It. So please do feel free to join us for our workshop as well. In addition to that, if you're interested and would love to know more about the support and also more practical strategies and online learning that you can also achieve as well, it's through our digital community and courses. Teach2030 is where you can get some more information, and so it's teach2030.com as well. So thank you so much, Shibangi. Thank you for everyone else who's joined on our live today. I do really appreciate it, and it was wonderful to see you. Shibangi, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we leave?
Yes, I would really like to thank you, Priya, for calling me here. It's a wonderful time with you and interacting with you, and I really thank everyone, those who have joined the Q&A today. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Shibangi, I think actually before you leave, apparently we do have a question on Facebook, but unfortunately I can't quite see this question on Facebook at the moment, and I wondered why that is. Let me see, we still have a few minutes. one moment, if that's okay with you. Let's just have a quick
Yes,
look
yes, please take your time. No problem.
and just see. I'm not particularly. Let's just have a quick look. If we have time for a quick question, that would be great as well. Let's have a quick look at this one here. I can't seem to see it at the moment, unfortunately. I can't seem to see it. Let me just see on. Yes, please. I think someone else might just read it out for us, actually. That might be really helpful because unfortunately I can't quite view it from where we are at the moment. So I'm just going to get one person to mute it. I'm just going to unmute and maybe you can read it out. Would that be okay?
You are talking to me?
I think Rebecca, I think she can.
Okay, Rebecca. Okay.
Let's just see if she can.
Okay, so there's a question on Facebook.
Okay.
Posted 2 days ago. It's from Tate Matibele Jimjam.
Okay.
The question reads, how often should I assess learners to see if there's a progress, and which type of assessment is best for primary learners throughout a year? I can reread it again so that you can capture it. How often should I assess learners to see if there is a progress, and which type of assessment is best for primary learners throughout a year?
Brilliant.
Okay.
I think that, thank you so much for that. I think there are 2 questions there. So what we might do is just do the first question, if that's okay. And then we can always answer the second question another time as well. So thank you so much for that. It says, how often should we assess learners to see if there is progress? What would you probably say to that question there then?
Yeah, what I do, there could be a, like before, after completing the learning objectives, we can take a small reflection and we can ask them what they have learned, some pointers. What was the learning objective, what they have learned, key points of the session. And you can also give them, maybe what I feel is that once in a week could be a good, you can do that, or maybe after the session, a reflection session reflection could also help. Or you can also give them some kind of, questionnaires where they can answer, in some kind of games. There are so many online games with the questions, and students need to, optional games, there are objective types of. This is what you can do. And but yes, after every session, reflection could work well.
Thank you for that. I think that's really, really valuable because I think, how often should we assess learners? I mean, there are 2 different types of assessment. You'd probably agree there as well. Shubhangi, there is the formative assessment, which you're talking about as well, which is often throughout the lesson. So maybe through games and activities as well, which is brilliant. And then there could be some other reflective points maybe that you might also do that too. So there isn't really a number that you should have, but generally to assess or have pause points during the lesson can also be really, really important to have reflective points to assess learning so that they can also understand that, so you as a teacher know if they're able to understand and understand the objectives of that particular part of the lesson too. But thank you so much, Shubhangi, for your comments there. And again, it's been a pleasure having you here today, and that concludes our Q&A for today, and we look forward to seeing you next year. We do have our workshop for next week, and we look forward to seeing you there next week. Have a wonderful day, and I will close this. Thank you very much. Bye now.